It's 100 degrees. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling 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 and sipping this tea.
What's going on, Diamond Gang? How's everybody doing? Well, I'm back with another update, and this is different timing for me. I'm usually on late night, but I decided because I didn't go live to actually do it earlier today. Now, I may come back on depending on what's going on, but we got a lot to get into. But first, I want to say welcome everybody on the Rumble side. Welcome to my Rumble family. And shouts out to my YouTube family. Hey, Peanut, what's going on, sis? So I wanted to say hi to both sides. I'm actually streaming from Rumble onto YouTube. So I'm streaming through Rumble to both platforms. So we got a lot to get into, but let me start off first with the rules. You guys know all opinions are respected. We encourage everyone to chat. Your opinion matters, okay? This is a safe space for you to speak, okay? You may be able to change my perspective on the way I look at things and vice versa. So I encourage it. Please chat your hearts away. Um, Also, we listen, subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Great Spills the Tea. Okay, we are back on YouTube. Um, I was off YouTube for about maybe a little over a month. I was able to get my channel back. Okay, so please subscribe. If you are on Rumble, follow my Rumble channel, The Great Spills the Tea. YouTube and Rumble, I cover basically the same thing, celebrity topics, along with war updates and other political topics. But I do have an additional channel on Rumble, which is The Great Reactions, where I react to viral moments. Okay. So please, if you're not following me on Rumble, what you waiting on? And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, what you waiting on? So, but we got a lot to get into. Okay, starting off with our fallen soldiers that we lost recently during this war. Now, they say that the Pentagon is hiding the numbers of injuries. Okay, it's much more higher than what they are telling us. That was very big yesterday. Okay, so we'll be discussing that. If you guys don't know, I always start the previous 24 hours and then I work my way up in real time, what's going on in real time. So, also, hey, Marie, thanks for stopping through. What's up, guys? My YouTube family. Um, Also, we're going to talk about the most recent strikes. President Trump's meeting um, with the Lebanese president, Saudi Arabia may be getting a nuclear program, which is very ironic, being as though that we're in war with Iran because of some of the same reasons. Okay, we don't want them to have a nuclear program, but we're going to give Saudi Arabia one, right? Does it make sense? Okay. So we're also going to talk about Pete Hegseth in front of Congress. Okay. Let me get into some numbers and what they're asking for. Okay. As far as funds for the war, the total supplemental request is approximately 87.6 to 88 billion dollars. Okay. For broader military readiness, replenishing the weapons and other Pentagon needs, it's about roughly 21 billion. Okay, so Pete Hegseth was in front of Congress, okay, trying to convince Congress why they should give up the money. Okay, so we'll be reviewing that as well. Um, it got a little hectic in there. There was some insults thrown back and forth. So we'll get into that as well. So without further ado, I'm going to pull up my screen, guys. And I want you guys to see actually what's going on in real time right now. And then we'll go back. Okay, let's go, Diamond Gang.
The war in Iran has entered a bleak new phase. 4 American soldiers died this weekend from Iran strikes, bringing the total death toll of American service members to 18 as of July 22nd. And White House allies fear it won't be the last. President Trump has repeatedly declared the war won, but the fighting hasn't stopped. American forces are still taking fire, and Iran has shown it retains enough firepower to strike back. Behind the scenes, Trump's advisors and White House allies are increasingly nervous. One person close to the administration put it plainly, quote, "This is what a quagmire looks like." That response reflects a divide in his inner circle. Some believe he's signaling towards more strikes to force Iran back to the table. Others insist anyone floating around ground troops are disconnected from where Trump and the party actually stand. It's not just the rising death toll that's pushing this new phase. It's the political math. Republicans hope to spend the summer campaigning on tax cuts and lower gas and drug prices. Instead, the war has become, as former Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo put it, quote, "a persistent dark cloud that is souring the national mood." That leaves Trump stuck. He can't easily escalate, and he can't easily walk away. What's less clear is whether his own party can afford to keep paying for it politically, only 3 months out from the midterms. The war in Iran has entered.
All right, let me remove that, guys. Listen, okay? A lot of people believe, and it's even down to the Republican Party, that we have now entered the phase of a quagmire, okay? Which is considered a forever war. Right now, we have no exit strategy, okay, at all. President Trump has said that Iran's enrichment facilities have been obliterated, but the war continued. He said, "We controlled the straits, but the war continued." There was a ceasefire, what? And the war, what? Continued. What's the end game? We have no end game at this point. All right, so let me bring up my screen and we're going to get into it, guys. All right, let's go. And shouts out to all my moderators, Robin, Peanut, MT, EJ, Marie. Thank you guys for always showing up and showing out for your girl. All right, let's get into it, guys. Now, this is the last soldier that was identified. Her name is Angel Rampersad. She was unalived with the other two. Okay. "19-year-old Private Isabella Gonzalez. Michael Emmanuel Swinton. And then we have Tyler James Feehan, Lieutenant. Let me get that right. Lieutenant. All right.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. We control the Strait. They don't control anything. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly.
Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
I think it's over. We hit them very hard again tonight. We're not finished at all. We're not leaving right now.
Thank you so much, Marie, for the gift. Thank you. Thank you. Now, guys, did the Trump administration really ignore intelligence warnings about Iran? Okay, that's the question. Let me say this. They wouldn't, and they actually could not talk about the policies. Okay, intelligence, they can't actually speak on things that's going on internally. So how would we know? They can speak on what Iran may do or may not do. They can do that, but they can't actually come out and speak directly on it. Did they believe that the goals would be accomplished before the Iranians would even think of closing the straits? And that's what I'm thinking. Just like Venezuela's, they thought that they were going to be able to get in and get out. So they never even thought again that they would do anything like this at all. But one thing's for sure, it doesn't take intelligence to know what Iran would do. Because let me tell y'all something. Since 2012, they have actually conducted over 30 attacks against shipping in the straits. Okay? They've done this before. And it's been talked about. So this is something that is known that they wouldn't need to get from intelligence at all. You get what I'm saying? So take a look at this next clip. I think they knew it was a possibility, but because they thought that this was going to go quickly, they thought it was going to happen so fast that part, as far as the Iranians closing the straits, couldn't happen.
A difficult question to answer because answering that would require knowing what's going on in the mind of the president and a few people, and they don't share that. So the people who might answer that or make those allegations, you need to ask them when they met the president and the Secretary of Defense and spoke with them last, and you will likely find that they didn't. However, you should also know that the U.S. intelligence community would not comment on certain issues. There might.
That part, intelligence would never come out and comment and tell anything that goes on with their policies, foreign policies.
Be policy related. We could certainly talk about what Iran is likely to do, but then you have warfighters who will say, well, we understand this threat will happen, but we believe our other activity in another area will allow us to accomplish the mission and change before.
Boom. Did you hear what he said? I truly believe that they thought that they would be able to accomplish their mission before the Iranians would even think, thought of doing this. Okay, let's hurry up and close the straits. This is how quick they truly believed that they were going to be able to go in and go out.
Before that becomes an issue. So to your particular question, saying that the Iranians will attack or try to control the Strait of Hormuz, that doesn't take any great intelligence analysis. Since 2012 until the day before this conflict, Iran conducted over 30 attacks against shipping using special forces, mines, missiles, and other violent activities. So it's in the public realm that they have targeted the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf, and the Arabian Sea. Likewise, their leaders have periodically over the years talked about taking control of this. And of course, we all remember of my generation, the reflagging of Tanker Zero. The question becomes, knowing this threat exists, do you think something else you're going to do can achieve what you're trying to do before that threat is executed?
Bingo. Before that threat is executed. So prior to, I was stating that they never thought of it. They never thought it they would do this. He said he was surprised. No, they thought of it. They just thought that they were going to be a lot quicker. Okay.
And I think that's the decision cycle that was made.
Now, let me tell you this. Iran, as far as the U.S., they have no win against us when it comes to technology, intelligence, our U.S. forces. So again, the Straits was their only card. And they played that card, crushing the economy globally. Okay? They did that.
Iran doesn't appear to be showing flexibility when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, but is this turning more into an economic war than it is to anything else? Because I think a lot argue that the Strait of Hormuz was open before.
That part. And right now, this is what this war is about. We came in with so many different objectives. And again, the Straits was not, it was open. So it was not an objective at the time. But now it has become, and it's now the main focus of this war.
Before the US and Israel launched the very first attacks on Iran.
You're correct. It was open, and it has always been for the Iranians an economic war. In the Iranian military doctrine, they know they cannot compete with U.S. technology, with U.S. intelligence, with U.S. The scope, the scale, and the size of the U.S. forces. But by striking the Gulf Cooperation Council and denying the world the commodities, in addition to the energy from the GCC, you in essence are bringing the world under Iran's pressure point. So this is how Iran, in essence, tries to create a strange diplomatic coalition of misery and pain to, in essence, allow Iran to justify control of the Strait of Hormuz and a larger role over regional affairs.
Now we're at the position, right? Iran has made it clear, okay, they're not going anywhere, and they will continue striking. They did it today again, okay? So now we're at the point where this is the strategy, okay? The U.S. claims that they are striking to degrade Iran's ability to target any ships in the straits, which that's a short-term goal. What's the long-term goal? The bottom line is we have to get them to the table. Because here at the end of the day, no matter what, I just told you, it goes back as far as 2012. They will always be able to maintain havoc in the straits. That's just the bottom line. I don't care how many times we bomb them. We have to get them to the table. All right, let's go.
Iran is doing a very good job of making sure that they show the world that they are not going anywhere. They're not going to bend the knee, and they're going to continue to hit the Americans where they think it's most effective. So while the U.S., the Pentagon, saying that they're launching missile strikes at storage facilities and also command and control centers, transport links in Iran, that seems to be the short-term goal, making sure that Iran cannot fight too much longer. The long-term strategy, though, I think, and I've said this for months, it has to be with the Iranians at the negotiating table.
Bingo, we got to get them to the table. How long? What is the end game? This is not, and now we have other entities entering into this conflict, widening the war. Okay, so we have to get them to the table.
Because there's so much damage that Iran can do, not because they need to destroy ships or air bases or military installations, as they did in Jordan over the weekend, but simply the threat of being able to strike a ship is enough to curtail the amount of oil that would go through the strait on a daily basis. And that's where the U.S., no matter what they do to the Iranians only have to be able to send out a drone every once in a while to let
Bingo. That's all they have to do. And again, they've been doing this since 2012. There have been 30 incidents in the straits. They don't need a lot.
Everybody know that they are still in the game and they still have a fair bit of power. If the Iranians and the U.S. can come together, that's going to be the way that they can solve it. Right now, Donald Trump, he'll go on social media, he'll talk a good game. He'll say, as you said earlier, 25 years, that's how long it's going to take the Iranians to restore everything. But the reality is that we can see that Iran has an awful lot of power right now. And if the U.S. want to get this sorted, especially if they want to be able to come back and have the MOU actually.
Listen, right now, we are making Iran a major power at this point.
Actually have some substance, they're going to have to speak to the Iranians at the negotiating table.
Mingo, that's it. That's all. They have to. We're going to have to get them to the table. But not only that, we have taken one of the most difficult countries to take on. And again, I believe that we are making Iran a major power as we move on with this war. I think the U.S. underestimated, making the consequences greater. This war is costing trillions of dollars. Trillions. Let's go.
This Iran war. Taking on Iran, we've taken on the most difficult country.
Let me stop. Hi, Cameron. How are you? Thank you for coming through. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
To beat since Germany in World War II, or maybe the Soviet Union. Okay, but Iran wasn't a great power like Germany. And it wasn't a great power like the Soviet Union. We're making Iran a major power as we go forward. But this was the biggest one, much more difficult than Vietnam, much more difficult than Iraq, much more difficult than Afghanistan. And so the consequences of taking on that much more dangerous, difficult foe are going to be with us really significantly longer. This is not just going away. We don't have an easy out over the next few weeks.
Are we spending what is it, 500 million a day in this war?
It's probably 1 to 2 billion a day. Now,
y'all hear that? 1 to 2 billion a day. That's a lot. And then again, they're asking for more. Okay.
With the phony, so at the moment, I don't trust any of the accounting coming out of the administration. So when I look at what is likely the cost of this war, about 2 weeks into the war, the Trump administration went to Congress to get an extra $200 billion to cover the next 6 months of the war. $200 billion for about 180 days.
At what point does a war...
But let me stop you right there. Pete Hegseth testified that the war has already cost, this is what he said to Congress yesterday, that the war has already cost the United States about $37 billion so far. 37.5 to be exact. And then he warned Congress that without that supplemental funding, the Pentagon could begin running short of money for ongoing operations, replacing munitions, and supporting deployed forces. This is what he's saying. Okay? Are we entering a forever war stage? I believe that we are. Again, the war is widening, it's moving to different territories, and now other groups are involved, like the Houthis. And we don't have an exit strategy. The U.S. cannot sustain a forever war because of the economic cost. So, how long do we do this bombing campaign? How long? But let's go.
Or become a forever war?
Well, forever wars occur when there's really no clear exit ramps. And I think when you get to a point where the decision makers in Washington or in Tehran lose control, because now you've got people have the Houthis involved, you'll have Lebanon as part of the file, Iraq potentially. Problem here is that this cannot become a frozen conflict. There are too many dynamics and interests at stake. On the Iranian side are concerned that this conflict would be, the status quo would be frozen in time and that they will lose leverage through that. And the United States can't sustain a forever war because of the economic cost and ultimately the political cost. I don't think that...
And the political cost, listen, they are frantic at the White House right now. And we'll get into that a little later, but they are nervous about what's going on.
Here is a frozen conflict. I think it's much more of an out of control escalation.
Now, listen to this, guys. You know how I do it. I like to get all sides. So I'll take a look at what the U.S. said, Trump. I will take a look at what Israel said, what Iran is feeling, what they are saying. Get this. Remember, I kept saying, where is Israel? Where are they? Guess what? Israel has no interest in joining the U.S. war on Iran right now. This bombing campaign. They have no interest. None. Let's get into what he's saying. I'll say this. When it comes to the state of Israel, there is no interest in joining the campaign. The current situation where there is a confined campaign between Iran and the United States is the correct and the best for us. We need to remember that our objective, you guys hear this? This is coming from Israel. In the campaign, and this is not necessarily shared with the U.S. is to detest the, I can't read that. The test the bill is this, I don't know what that is. Weakening. Sorry guys. To the point of overthrowing the regime. We cannot come to terms with the existence of a regime that strives for the destruction of the state of Israel, openly states this and takes steps in that direction. The best way right now to bring down the regime, and listen, this is why they have no interest. So listen to what he's going to say next, okay? Is economically, simply to crush it economically. In this sense, this campaign and the renewal of President Trump's siege on the Strait of Hormuz should be remembered in Iran. Therefore, the current situation is good for us. Okay. And we have no interest in pushing ourselves in. It must be said that we are prepared. So they're saying they're prepared. And incidentally, after yesterday's discussion, for any scenario, the military is ready. Remember, guys, I kept saying, where's Israel? They said that they have no interest in getting in on what's going on with this. It's day 11 now. It's day 11 of this bombing campaign. And if the Iranians make the mistake and fire at us, they are so concerned, which I'm going to be honest, I believe it will come to that. Iran will eventually directly bomb Israel. I believe that. Then, of course, they will regret it and will face a very strong, determined, and powerful response. So it just seems like, in the other day, Benjamin Netanyahu gave a message, and I played that. It just seems like they're concerned. Their only concern is if Israel hits them directly. That's their only concern. But they have no interest in this day 11 of this bombing campaign that Trump has brought on. But remember, we went in this together. So just make that make sense. Am I looking at this the wrong way? You said probably for as long as he needs to deflect from those pesky fouls. Maybe he's not too worried about how many people have to give their lives for that. I agree. It's Glute. Thank you, Glute. All opinions are respected. The only thing that I ask is just don't be disrespectful. We encourage everybody, please, your opinion matters. This is a safe space, okay? You may be able to change my perspective. I may be able to change your perspective. So please, we encourage you. And please subscribe to the channel, please. Okay. So that was just, when I seen that, it just, I'm like, you're not concerned or you have no interest. Yeah, we went in on behalf of Israel, right? So, yeah. All right, let's go. Let's go.
New reporting suggests Iran's own government is divided over whether this.
Now, remember, guys, it's saying that Iran's government is split over whether to keep fighting or come to the table. Remember I told you guys I felt like the IRGC was making most of the decisions? I still believe that. That's why the president of Iran said he was going to step down. There's a power struggle now that the supreme leader is no longer with us. Now, his son, Mushkaba, we don't know where he is. They said he was badly injured, face disfigured. They're saying that he's in on the decision makings. We haven't seen him publicly. They did give, I want to say, a recording, and I don't think it was him. But they put out right after the supreme leader's funeral of him saying that the U.S. won't get the enriched uranium. We don't know where he is. So I believe there is a power struggle. I believe that the older ones that's still around, because they unalived majority of their leaders, okay? And they were more so, let's say, old school. The younger ones, a little bit different. But again, what happens when you unalive their leaders? They become more hardline, okay? So that's what's going on. I think it's a power struggle between the two.
This war is even still winnable. Multiple regional sources describe growing internal division within Iran's leadership over how to proceed. One faction reportedly favors continued escalation to maintain leverage over Hormuz. Another faction reportedly favors seeking a negotiated exit given the war's mounting economic and infrastructure costs. This comes as Iran's post-Khamenei leadership continues.
But here's the thing, too. When the straits was open for that 2 weeks, they made a nice bit of cash. They made money. Millions, and on top of millions. Enough that it was said that if they wanted to hold out on negotiations until December, they could do that. That's how much money they brought in those couple of weeks. But let's go, Diamond Gang.
Struggling to project unified authority 5 months into the conflict. A divided leadership fighting a war is a genuinely dangerous combination. It can produce both unpredictable escalation from factions trying to prove strength and unexpected offers of de-escalation from factions trying to cut losses. Neither outcome is currently more likely than the other. A government divided on whether to keep fighting is harder to predict than one that's simply losing. That unpredictability may be this war's next real danger.
Now, this is the IRGC. Let's listen to what they have to say. My point is, this awakening and revolution will continue. Because the Americans won't stop their aggression. They won't stop interfering, won't stop obstructing things. So this revolution will go on. It includes military defense and the punishment of Netanyahu and Trump. This is the IRGC's objectives right here. I'm not going to say this is Iran's objective, Tehran's objective. This is the IRGC's objectives. Okay? Beyond that, it includes the growing awareness of the people of the region. And the region's liberation from Israel and America. Again, Iran condemns U.S. attacks on civilian infrastructure. They are doing tit for tat right now, okay? Tit for tat. But let's take a listen. You guys know I like to hear all sides.
ما حمله به زیرساخت‌های غیر نظامی مراکز
Let me go back, guys. Sorry. Just a little bit. All right.
آزاد نتانیاهو ترامپ توش است بالاتر از این آگاهی ملت‌های منطقه توش است آزادسازی خود منطقه از اسرائیل و آمریکا توش است اینا همه توش است
We unequivocally condemn the attacks on civilian infrastructure, medical facilities, bridges, and essential installations on which people's daily lives depend. No political or military claims can excuse the suffering of a child waiting for treatment in a hospital, or the anguish of a family whose city's vital bridge has been destroyed. These are not merely attacks on buildings. They are wounds inflicted on the collective conscience of the Iranian people. Proposal put forward by various mediators have been conveyed to us, and we have received them. However, I would prefer not to go into the details at this stage. What I can confirm is that throughout these days, our diplomatic efforts have remained active in a number of proposals and ideas. So he's basically verifying that there are still talks going on. That part we can believe. So proposals and ideas from several mediators have indeed been communicated to us. Negotiation and war are means, not ends in themselves. Let us not lose sight of the goal. I think both sides have. They both lost sight. Those goals are to safeguard Iran's national interest. Sometimes by means of defense, sometimes through diplomacy, sometimes through both at the same time. Now, they recently have formed a human chain on the coastline of the straits. We're about to get into Yemen, the Houthis. They have just joined. Yeah, this is going to get hectic. Blocking off parts of the Red Sea. But that's the human chain in Iran along the coast. So we're going again. So we know the Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthis, rebels, block Saudi's shipping in the Red Sea. So they have officially joined. Okay. Let's go. Let's get into it.
Rebels are threatening to target Saudi shipping in the Red Sea. Now, this is important because...
And listen, they've done this before. The Houthis has blocked part of the Red Sea before against Israel. And guess what? It worked because a couple of their ports went bankrupt. Okay? Right now, they are turning ships around without firing a shot. okay, as we speak.
Saudi Arabia, like other Gulf nations, have been affected by Iran's chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, through which about a fifth of all the world's oil and natural gas passed in peacetime. Now, as the Iran war has been going on, Saudi Arabia has been using a pipeline to take oil to a Red Sea port and then export it from there. But Yemen's Houthi rebels, who the Saudi government and other Middle East nations have been locked in a war with all the way back since 2015, have been threatening to target Saudi ships in the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Aden, and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which, like the Strait of Hormuz, is a key maritime waterway. Now, the Houthis don't have necessarily a large navy to do a naval blockade, but what they do have is Iranian-made drones and missiles. And during the Israel-Hamas war in the Gaza Strip, the Houthis attacked over 100 ships. There's a chance, if the Houthis carry out this threat, that they could disrupt Saudi oil shipments to Asia. That would have a big impact on global energy prices, which already are straining with the resumption of hostilities between Iran and the U.S.
I told you guys the last time I went live, don't be surprised if you wake up and gas is $10 a gallon. I told you guys that. It is close to $100 a barrel. It's getting out of control.
Over the last several days.
So once they decided to join, they started partying in the streets. I mean, celebrating in the streets. Now, President Trump was asked about this blockade, and we'll get into that later. But again, guys, remember, in the start of the war, they were there. Okay, the Houthis was very present. But when Iran's navy went under the sea, that's when the Houthis had to fall back. Because the Houthis, well, Iran provided the Houthis through their ships, intelligence and other things. So since now that everything's under the sea, they have no way to provide them. There's other ways around it. And we've seen where, you know, just 2 days ago, Jelani, I can't think of his first name. Oh, I can't think, but we'll get into that later. But there's other ways that they can, but their main way to provide for the Houthis was by sea. They no longer have that. So that's why we didn't hear from the Houthis again until now. Okay? But let's get into it.
An eye for an eye, say the Houthis and their supporters, celebrating the militant group's announcement of a maritime blockade on longtime enemy Saudi Arabia.
فنقول له أن الحصار بالحصار والمطار بالمطارات والمواني بالمواني.
They say it's retaliation for Saudi Arabia's 12-year sea, land and air siege.
Again, so they're saying it's retaliation. So for 12 years, okay, they were preventing, this is another way too, that Iran was getting goods, getting intelligence and other things that they needed to the Houthis. They were blocking, okay, Iran from supplying the Houthis, okay, as well. They've been doing this in the way basically for 12 years.
Which aims to prevent Iran from supplying the rebel group in control of a third of Yemen. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry condemning the...
But again, once we struck in the beginning of this war, that was another issue. It was a big issue because Iran, everything they had is under the sea as far as their navy.
Action, its Yemen coalition, vowing to take all necessary measures to protect its ships in line with international law.
is an attempt to neutralize the US and other Western powers. But I think that's a lot of wishful thinking, because if you're attacking Saudi shipments, you're basically attacking a pretty much good number of the world interests.
With Iran's blockade on the Strait of Hormuz.
Listen, with this blockade, they are cutting off, I think it is 7%. 7% of the oil markets. Yeah, I think it is 7%.
Saudi Arabia has been diverting more than 70% of its oil across the country through the East-West pipeline. In June, total petroleum volumes transiting the Bab el-Mandeb rose to about 7% of global output.
Okay, there it is. She did say 7% of the global output. Okay. So it's getting ready to get rough. Very rough. But I told you guys a while ago, get ready. This will be our norm. Gas prices fluctuating, the cost of food. I mean, just get ready. It's coming.
If that strait is closed, shipments to Asia will have to go north, adding time and costs. Last week, a 4-year truce between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia was blown apart when Houthis blamed Riyadh for an attack on Sana'a airport to stop a delegation returning from Iran. Then launched missiles at the kingdom. More threats with today's declaration, but little detail.
Any foolishness committed by the reckless Saudi enemy through a full...
So can you imagine how bad Yemen is doing right now? And the Houthis are doing right now? Because, again, Iran supports them, helps them, but really had no way to get to them. That's it. Remember, guys, when I told you about the Syria President Jelani, and he said that, and again, President Trump is trying to get him involved, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But remember, Jelani ended up seizing a truck that had weapons and things like that in it, and it was on its way to the Houthis by Iran. I told you guys this story, and I brought it up in my live stream. But I brought it up. That's another way that they are getting things to them. But it's look what happened. Taking a risk. Now, allegedly, they said that Jelani just did that he's playing both sides of the fence. We went into all of that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole in this live stream, but I did in the last live stream I did. Okay. So if you want to see that, you'll have to replay that. But they're trying to say that Syria is playing both sides of the fence. But let's go.
Scale escalation, we will confront with a full-scale and harsh escalation.
I think it's very serious. And within the context of the collapse of the MOU and the return to fighting between the US and Iran, I see this as the next chapter in the story.
Listen, if this goes into... Right now, they claim that it's not a full-scale war right now. But if the U.S. responds militarily, boots on the ground, full-blown out, war, again, it's widening to other territories. The prices of gas, again, the prices of food, I mean, it's going to impact the world, economically, globally. It's going to be something to look at. I'm telling you, we will be penny pinching in a minute, but let's go.
And a sign that things are only escalating and not de-escalating. I take the point that negotiations are still happening, and perhaps both Iran and the US are looking for leverage in the military sphere, or at least the strategic sphere, to gain, some advantage in those negotiations. But the problem is we're in an escalation trap. And Iran had, or at least the Houthis had, a couple of months ago threatened to close the Bab el-Mandeb as part of what was happening.
And if you guys have been following me on my YouTube channel, I told you months ago what is going on right now. I told you months ago that this is going to happen. I said, Every time these strikes get more and more intense, you will hear them mention the Houthis. I said eventually they are going to cut off part of the Red Sea, and then they're going to put the whole entire world in a chokehold. Okay, I said this globally. Everyone will be paying the price. All right, let's go.
Between the US and Iran. That has now happened. Now it's been framed within the context of what's going on between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia, which is a slightly separate issue, but you cannot divorce the two. And I'm very, very concerned that we're on a ladder here where the US may feel that the only way to respond is through military means, and it extends the war to two different waterways. Oil will shoot up, and it already is in price. The world economy is going to suffer.
So it's like we would be in two different conflicts. This is a small conflict. Of course, yet they don't have nothing for us. We will decimate them. That's not a lie. So, but we would still, and not only that, we're running out of munition, we're running out of money. This is not feasible. It's just not. But let's go. But Trump said he's going to take care of it. We'll see.
Even more. The economy of the Gulf states will suffer even more. And I don't see an off-ramp, I'm afraid. We're talking about the Bab el-Mandeb, and yet this was about the nuclear weapons issue. And so we're now talking about problems that did not exist before March being problems that now exist in international relations or in the Middle East. And that seems to be overtaking the main problem, which was always the nuclear weapons issue. And I don't know whether the US will be able to return to that or not.
The Ansarullah Houthis have been very effective in imposing a...
Shouts out to my girl Papaya. Hey, what's up? Glad to see you here. Thanks for coming.
Blockade, a naval blockade. They first imposed a successful blockade against Israel, which lasted for 2 years.
Bingo. Remember, I just told y'all, they've been successful at these blockades. With Israel, 2 shipping ports basically went under. They went bankrupt. So, and again, right before I came on, they were making ships turn around without firing not a shot. Not one. So, but let's go.
And now they're imposing on Saudi Arabia. This is actually, Saudi Arabia is the only other nation in the region that the Ansarullah Houthis have imposed a blockade on besides Israel. Now, we know from the previous blockade that has been imposed by the Ansarullah Houthi government that it is successful. In fact, they forced 2 of Israel's main ports to go bankrupt, the port of Haifa and the port of Eilat in southern Israel. We had a statement issued from the Saudi Foreign Ministry accusing the Ansarullah Houthis of trying to deflect blame on Saudi Arabia for the economic hardships here in Yemen, and also stating that Saudi Arabia is going to do everything that they can to protect their vessels at sea in accordance to international.
And remember, gang, we had no idea that Saudi and Iran was trading strikes back and forth since the beginning of the war. We had no idea. But guess what? Put the pieces together and it makes sense. They were targeting, I believe, the Houthis as well. But let's go.
Law and in accordance to the 1982 UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, which gives nations the military right to protect their vessels whenever they are crossing international.
Yeah, Saudi said they're not playing. So they're going to do what they have to do military-wise. They're going to do it. Okay? They're going to protect their vessels.
International waters.
The Strait of Hormuz has long been an ongoing flashpoint in the...
Now again, a full closure of the straits will reduce global oil supplies by 7%. Oil prices, as soon as the Houthis announced that they were going to block part of the Red Sea, the gas prices rose high. They rose quickly. But let's hear it right here.
On war, but now another critical waterway, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, is becoming a new front. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis have announced a naval blockade on Saudi Arabia. Now, the strait is a key export route for Saudi oil, especially now after the months-long effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has repeatedly suggested it could ask the Houthis to close the strait to shipping if the conflict escalates. A full closure of the strait would reduce global oil supplies by 7%. Now, the Hormuz crisis had already reduced supplies by 10%. In a statement, the Houthis said they were declaring, quote, a maritime embargo against the criminal Saudi enemy based on the equation of an eye for an eye, effective immediately. They added that it was in response to the, quote, unjust and oppressive siege on Yemen by Saudi Arabia. Now, the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen have responded. They say they're taking steps to protect ships in the Red Sea, adding, quote, all Houthi threats against transiting vessels will be.
Listen, I'm gonna say this again. Anything can happen while I'm on live, but right before I came on, they turned a couple of ships around. They made them go.
Be dealt with swiftly and firmly. Oil prices rose shortly after the Houthi declaration, but fell back as traders hoped for a diplomatic breakthrough.
Morale.
All right, let's get into it, guys. I told you guys, the Republican Party is very fearful as this will escalate with the midterms coming. They're starting to fear that we are in a quagmire. It was big talks all day yesterday about how they are hiding the injuries. Again, it came out there were 100 injuries or more. So they believe that the Pentagon was withholding that information.
Among Republicans in the United States Congress is really at an all-time low this morning as Trump's war in Iran has entered a bleak new phase, one that they don't think he can get out of before the midterms. And morale is low because they're, in a way, seeing the writing on the wall. According to Politico, White House allies are terrified that the president does not have the ability to get out of this war, that they're effectively in a quagmire. And it comes as the peace deal with Iran.
And what did this live stream start out with? They got to get them to the table. I don't know how long. What is the end game? Because, again, since 2012, 30 incidents have been reported in the Straits with the Iranians. They will always be able to cause havoc. So at this point, I don't care how much they degrade them, how much they, like the one man said, all they need is a couple of drones. That's it. So it's just time. We got to get to the table.
Iran has fallen apart as the United States has bombed Iran with impunity over the past 10 to 11 days. And now, as new reporting confirms that the White House is concealing the true devastation.
Shouts out to my bestie, Meet Cruz. Bestie, George. Hey, everybody. What's going on?
Devastation of the conflict as it relates to injuries and casualties with U.S. service members, intentionally concealing from the public the true nature of the casualties. And Republicans in Congress are seeing the writing on the wall here. If this doesn't change and change quickly, they're not going to do well in November. And there's not much they can do anymore. Spread the word, follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Now listen to this, guys. Okay. Again, the injuries are close to 100. Okay. They say that the worst is yet to come. And there are reports right now that the Iranians have advanced missile technology, extending their reach. And what they do is they combine that with drones to overwhelm the radar defense systems. So to throw them off so that they could get through, guys. So they have I thought we decimated, I thought we obliterated, I thought we advanced missiles. Come on, gang, something's going on, but let's go.
The Pentagon had withheld the number of injuries U.S. forces have sustained in recent weeks of fighting, finally revealing that number is close to 100 in multiple attacks from Iran, including here in Jordan. Overnight, U.S. Central Command released new video showing fighter jets roaring.
And listen, we're going to get into why they hit Jordan so hard. There's 3 reasons, and it's so simple. It is a simple answer, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Into the night sky, said to show the latest strikes against Iran, a show of force on the 10th consecutive.
Wait, really quick, please, 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 Diamond Gang. You could support the channel, YouTube via Cash App, Super Chat, Super Sticker, gifts, but a simple like will do. On my Rumble side, please, 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 as you come in, you can hit the like. It is free. If you would like to support the channel, you could send a rant, which is the same equivalent as a Super Chat, Super Sticker, or a Cash App. But I prefer, please, hit that like. Keep your girl in the algorithm. All right, let's go.
Night of airstrikes. But with air raid sirens blaring out last night across Kuwait and even here in Oman, Iran has found ways to retaliate with lethal results. Retired Jordanian General Qasid Mahmoud fears if both sides can't broker a deal soon, the worst is yet to come. The Iranians have advanced missile technology, he said, developing techniques and capacities to extend their reach, combining with drones to overwhelm radar defenses. CBS News has learned in the weeks leading up to the attacks that left 3 U.S. soldiers dead and another still listed as missing, dozens of American troops suffered injuries across the Middle East, including here in Jordan. In a statement to CBS News, Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell confirmed that almost 100 people were deemed to have had some degree of injury, 96% of whom have returned to duty. The vast majority of injuries experienced were minor concussions. But the numbers reflect the intense fight underway, now with President Trump doubling down on threats of retaliation for the deaths of U.S. soldiers. Amid the escalating violence, the State Department has issued a new warning that Americans in the Middle East should exercise caution, and those thinking of traveling here or through here should reconsider.
So you guys heard that. They have advanced missiles. It's just like how, if we obliterated and decimated, how are they getting these advanced missiles? So, and they have a further reach now. Like, this is what I'm saying. He tore up that agreement, the Obama agreement, didn't put anything in place, leaving them to do whatever they wanted to do. And here we are. Here we are. But let's go.
The United States Pentagon is quickly running out of money. Trump is desperately asking Congress for more money as the United...
And Diamond Gang, we're going to get into Pete Hegseth, the whole ordeal in front of Congress. Again, they are asking for billions.
The United States is preparing for a, quote, wider war, according to a Washington Post reporting. Pete Hegseth is going on Capitol Hill to try to get Congress to give supplemental funding to the Pentagon, as the United States Pentagon, which already receives billions and billions of taxpayer dollars every single year, is now running on a budget shortfall. They're literally running out of money. They're limiting training and maintenance for military readiness. They're desperately asking for $67 billion more money to help fund this wider war effort.
Right. So again, the total supplement request is $88 billion. Just for the war in Iran, it is $67 billion. Okay. And then for military readiness, replenishing weapons, and other Pentagon needs, it is the $21 billion. So those two, 67 and the 21 equaling the 88. Okay. Again, he testified yesterday that the war has cost us so far $37.5 billion. Yes. Okay. And he warned Congress that without supplemental funding, the Pentagon could be running short of money for ongoing operations, replacing munition, and supporting deployed forces. All right, so let's go. I can't wait to get into that part of this live.
4 service members have died in the past week. Hundreds have been injured, according to reporting from the New York Times and elsewhere. And it all comes as the Pentagon and the White House are actively concealing the true nature of the number of casualties in this war. So get ready. It's only going to expand, not shrink. I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Hey,
Now, okay, hold on. Let me let him say this.
This breaking news. Sirens just started sounding in both Bahrain and Kuwait just hours after a ship was struck in the Strait of Hormuz by Iran. Tensions continue to remain on the rise in the Middle East. Follow for the latest breaking news updates on Iran.
Now we are almost close to what's going on in real time today. But let me say this. They started targeting American assets. They struck Amazon. They said they will target any assets that Trump has. They threatened Google and other places. So listen, this is getting serious. They hit an Amazon facility yesterday in the Middle East.
U.S. oil prices have surged to $85 a barrel. That's about a 2% increase this morning as a result of this war raging on with Iran. Guys, that chart for the oil prices just keeps going up and up and up like that, and with no end in sight at this point. Because
now remember, if you're new here, we start the previous 24 hours and we work our way up to real time. So this was yesterday morning. So you know it's higher.
This war is going to rage on. Now, it did calm a little bit with the prices when there were signs that there might be negotiations or talks maybe resuming to have a ceasefire, maybe a temporary ceasefire. But right now, everything is raging on. Iran has launched strikes overnight that struck Kuwait, a desalination plant, and a power generation plant. Several units of the power generation plant have been shut down as precaution because of the damage. The desalination plant is heavily damaged. Guys,
you know it's a war crime, but they claim that we hit infrastructure, so they're doing tit for tat. So they hit that desalination plant, which is crazy. Like, they have to have access to water. So these people will probably more than likely have to relocate.
Kuwait relies heavily on desalination water, so this is a huge deal there. We could have a humanitarian crisis forming if they are starting to run out of water there. And now we are learning that an Amazon data center was struck by Iran in Bahrain. So guys, they are targeting American assets. This is clear. They said they would start doing that. They said that all Trump properties are fair game in the region as well.
Listen, that's how we got the last ceasefire. When they threatened to hit Elon Musk's SpaceX place, that's how we got that last ceasefire.
So major escalations happening here. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Yesterday, Sergeant Michael Emmanuel Switten, he was identified yesterday, okay? This is so sad.
The loss of the first U.S. soldiers to die in combat in months here in Jordan has...
Now, let me stop this real quick. Remember, guys, I said, let me tell you, they hit Jordan and they hit Jordan hard. I'm going to give y'all 3 reasons why they hit Jordan so hard, okay? Number 1, it was an easy target. They have barely no air defenses. None. Jordan, they have no military. None. Number 3, the U.S. forces, they're dispersed there. So this was a very easy target. No air defense, no military, and the U.S. forces, they're dispersed there. That's why Iran hit Jordan so hard. But let's go.
Very serious questions, starting with why Jordan? Why now? And how did it happen? Analysts point to a few different factors. First of all, Jordan doesn't have the kind of robust air defenses that you would see in more established U.S. military bases, like where the Fifth Fleet is based in Bahrain or in Kuwait. And those countries also have a robust air defense system. Jordan doesn't have anything near that. Secondly, Jordan really doesn't have the kind of military to launch any kind of retaliatory strikes against Iran. In fact, it's the last thing they want to do is to try to face Iran in their own conflict. Thirdly, yes, U.S. forces are dispersed through here. And although we've talked about the loss of the U.S. soldiers to have been killed in missile strikes, dozens more have been wounded in multiple strikes over the course of the past few days. So while Jordan has largely managed to avoid bearing the full brunt of Iranian attacks, that all changed a few days ago. And something has happened to either cripple America's early warning system to show when missiles are coming in, or to find some way to stop these missiles or projectiles or drones from actually doing any damage. The Iranians have seen that Achilles heel, and they're exploiting it.
That part. Now, Trump spoke to the press. Okay, we're going to take a listen. They asked him, was he concerned on the blockade and allegedly Iran moving nuclear centrifuges. Okay, so he claims that they're going to find it and they're going to bomb those places. But he keeps saying they want to deal so bad. Their actions are not showing that. I'm sorry. It's just not. But let's take a listen.
Mr. President, there are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until they give up?
There are no signs. What, do you know something that I don't know?
Well, they continue to attack our allies and
you
kill
don't know
Americans.
what the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your...
I'm going to be honest. I believe that there are still talks going on, but I think that Iran is divided. Okay, the IRG, they don't want to hear it. They don't care. Okay, but I think that the older, Iranians that's still in place, they're looking for diplomacy. Okay.
Fake station, but you don't know. You don't know anything.
So talks are
you know
still
something
possible,
that I don't know? Do you know something I don't know?
Well, tell us.
I will tell you. They want to desperately meet, and until they're ready to meet in a meaningful way, we have no interest in even.
What is your level of concern of a blockade of the Red Sea by the Houthi rebels opening an?
Now remember, this was yesterday. The blockade by the Houthis is there and it is in effect. They are right now turning ships away.
Up another front in the war.
See what happens. So far, it hasn't happened, might happen. But we take care of things. If something like that happens, we take care of it. We've done that with the Houthis before, and we haven't heard from them in a while since we did what we did originally.
That is a fact. Again, we heard of the Houthis in the beginning, but we didn't hear from them again. Once they decimated, and they did, because most of their ships are at the bottom of the sea. So again, they had no way to get to the Houthis to help them, the Iranians, basically. But let's go.
It was about 45 days of very powerful action we took against the Houthis. And we've had no problem with the Houthis. They've had no problem with us for a long period of time, including during this conflict. I think that if there is something like that, we'll just have to take care of business.
Do you believe that Iran has moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain? And when you say we're not done yet, what is...
That is their next destination. If they are going to do a 12th round, it'll probably be there. He said it.
Left to finish.
Well, I think that they may have. We don't have it on record. All we do is read the fake news. We see the news is so wrong so many times. So, maybe this one they have right, but it's okay. It doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. You're talking about the centrifuges. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. They don't have. We follow the material. That's where the action is.
We just heard the national news report that they now have advanced missiles. Okay, so let's go.
We'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon, and there's not a thing they can do about it. Normally I wouldn't say that. If I thought they could do something about it, I would never say that. But we'll be hitting that area pretty soon, and very heavily. We are going to.
Now, Trump is open to talks with Hezbollah, vows to help Lebanon. He met with the Lebanon president. And if you guys can recall, I don't think I was able to do this live stream on YouTube. I think my channel was not back yet, but I did it on Rumble. If you guys recall, I was so upset because I felt like the Lebanese people gave up so much. They were supposed to get a full withdrawal per the MOU, okay? Iran said, listen, full withdrawal out of Lebanon. Guess what? There was a sad ceasefire put together. And we are actually overseeing that. The U.S., okay, is overseeing that sad deal that they put in place, ceasefire that they put in place. The Lebanese president was upset because they felt like Iran was using them as a bargaining chip. Okay? So again, they gave up a lot. They gave up land that Israel is still occupying. They have no right to go legally after them for war crimes. They signed over a lot. A lot. And if you guys was in my live stream, you knew I was upset about that. But yeah. All right, let's go.
Solve a lot of problems. We've already solved some of them for Lebanon. As you know, there's a Hezbollah problem, but we've done some things that I think.
And he swears Jelani is going to take care of Hezbollah. Jelani from Syria, the Syrian president, said, whatever I do, it'll be peaceful. That's the one I said I believe is playing both sides of the fence. Okay? But let's go. And I talked about it in my last live stream. You got to go watch it.
I think the world will take notice. Again, it's been a very badly treated place and country, and we're going to have it properly treated and treated with respect that it deserves.
When the Israeli army withdraw from Lebanon, is there a clear timeline?
They're in the process of doing that. They're in the process of redeploying to other sections. And again, they get along very well. That was a great agreement they signed with Lebanon, and they're redeploying.
No, it wasn't. The Lebanese people, they don't have any rights. I mean, that agreement was crazy, crazy. And if I get into it, I'm going to go off track. So let's go.
Are you still speaking with Hezbollah? You said in previous interviews that you're speaking with Hezbollah.
I would say that, but I would speak to Hezbollah. Yeah. I speak to everybody. I'll speak to people that a lot of people think I shouldn't be speaking to, and things work out. I would say this: if the president wanted me to speak to Hezbollah, he's lived with Hezbollah for a long time. And if the president wanted me to speak to Hezbollah, I would. We're going to be going and paying our respects.
So again, here's Pete. Yeah, everybody was ratting his butt about these comments, but let's hear what he has to say.
Over. Pete, would you like to say just how we're doing?
Because he actually made a post. President Trump made a post comparing different wars and how many soldiers lost their lives compared to how many lost their lives in this war currently, which a lot of people felt was very disrespectful. A lot of people was upset about that, but let's go.
Well, it'll be an honor as well to join you at Dover to recognize these incredible Americans who committed to the cause just like you are. Something no president's been willing to do. 47 years, they build up a conventional capability like the North Koreans did. Remember, that's how North Korea made their way to a bomb. So much weaponry that no one was willing to stand up to them. President Trump was, and it continues to this day. Iran's been given every opportunity to negotiate, to show that they're reasonable on the Strait of Hormuz. But if they're going to shoot at commercial shipping, then we're going to hit them, as the president said, 10 times harder, which every night we're degrading them further and further. And the president has all the options necessary. If they want to talk, they can talk. Otherwise, they can deal with the War Department, and we're prepared to do that.
The blockade is up and fully, I mean, it's...
So we got the U.S. blockade, Iran blockade, and the Houthis blockade. And guess who is costing? Everyone, globally.
Nobody gets through. Nobody gets through the blockade. It's like a steel wall.
Iran's in a lot of trouble. I mean, at the end of the day,
Now, this is Rubio. I'm going to say this, okay? That's one thing about Rubio. He stays on track. He never goes off track with whatever he says. So he's pretty solid, okay, out of everyone. And where the hell is J.D. Vance? Where's Vance at? But he says the same thing time and time again, okay? He never goes off the rails. But let's listen.
they obviously don't have a free press that reports on for example, you guys will report on, the impact it's having on the U.S. economy and gas prices and this and that. They don't have that in Iran. But I can tell you they're facing hyperinflation, runaway inflation, high food costs. These are all pre-existing. They've all gotten worse. They've suffered a tremendous amount.
I'm going to be honest, out of all of them, I think he has the most sense. I thought J.D. Vance, but it's just like, nah. But let's go.
Kind of damage to their military infrastructure, but they've also spent 20 years taking every penny they have and not spending it on their country. They spent it on sponsoring terrorist groups and building up their missiles and their drone systems. And this is what you're seeing them use now, which is greatly diminished, is exactly the conventional shield that they were going to hide behind to pursue a nuclear program and challenge the world to do anything.
But here's the thing, right? Okay. We are now talking about allowing Saudi Arabia to have a nuclear program while we are currently in a war with Iran about a nuclear program as well. Right now, it's mainly about the Straits, but that will come down the line as far as their enrichment program. Under the previous deal, again, Obama was able to get 95% of the enrichment up out of there. He gave them a very small program, and we had inspectors where we can inspect. Now we don't have anything in place. It's ironic. It's just ironic that all of a sudden Saudi Arabia is going to be allowed to have a nuclear program.
About it, or face the wrath of what they were doing. A year from now, Iran would have had so many missiles and drones.
But again, Jared Kushner, he's tied all into that. He's been tied into the Middle East for a long time, being backed by Saudi with a lot of different things.
Drones, that they would have been behind a conventional shield that would have given them immunity to do whatever they wanted. So right now, however, I can just say, here's what's happening. It's pretty straightforward. Ships are trying to go through the Straits and they're getting blown up. Commercial ships are going through the Straits and they're being blown up. The United States is defending that shipping and in addition is targeting the places that are launching against those ships to continue to degrade Iran's ability to target and harm global shipping. So that's what's happening here. And that's what we're focused on.
Mr. Secretary, are China and Russia giving targeting information to Iran? These last few attacks have been very devastating to U.S. troops.
So what he basically asked them was China and Russia giving Iran information. But let's go. You know how I feel about this, guys. And I've said this since I started covering this. They've always helped them. But let's go.
All I would say is that, anytime you're in a combat zone like that, there's danger associated with it. At the end, this actually proves the point that this is what Iran has been investing its money in for the last 20 years.
And Russia giving targeting information?
I'm not going to discuss that other than to say that nothing.
I've always said that they've given them intelligence along with drones.
That's happened. Nothing that China has done has in any way changed the trajectory of of what you're seeing in terms of the conflict.
If they've been decimated and obliterated, where are they getting all of this munition from? Where?
conflicts we're having with Iran. And in fact, in some cases, they've actually been quite cooperative with regards to what they potentially could have done but didn't do. I think the Chinese, and I'll let them tell you, but I don't think they're big fans of what Iran is trying to do in the Straits. In fact, they've said so publicly that they oppose.
Here's the deal. The entire ceasefire, China got through the blockade with no issues. Guys, we covered this. China said we've been doing business with them. We're going to continue doing business with them. They even met up. They met up a couple months ago. But let's go.
Tolling or any sort of restraint on freedom of navigation in the Straits. And, we hope they'll continue to say that. And it's important that other countries say that as well.
China was not affected like anyone else. They got their oil, okay? Now we're going to get into the Trump meeting with the Lebanese president. Trump wants Lebanon to join the Abraham Accords. Remember that, guys? They brought the Abraham Accords up prior to the ceasefire, or to the MOU, excuse me. And Trump is still pushing Syria to fight Hezbollah. And again, Jelani, the president, said it will be peaceful. He's not doing that. But let's hear it.
News, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun arrived at the White House today, where President Trump personally greeted him with a handshake before their bilateral meeting, with Aoun telling Trump he had been looking forward to this visit for a long time to meet such a great president, and Trump joking that Aoun knows how to get to him. This is the first visit by a Lebanese president since 2009. And during the talks, Trump said Lebanon can be a dangerous place in many ways, but praised the Abraham Accords as very successful, and said many more countries will join them, and told Aoun he wants to press the issue of Lebanon getting involved in those accords. Trump also said Hezbollah is a problem and that Aoun agreed with his vision. That when asked by a reporter, he clarified he did not say he had already spoken with Hezbollah, but that if President Aoun wants him to talk to them, he will. Trump even floated the idea of a Syrian president possibly coming into Lebanon to deal with his...
Bingo, there go Jelani right there at the bottom. There he is, the president of Syria. Last week, he intercepted some weapons going to Hezbollah that Iran was sending, okay? But let's go.
Hezbollah, saying he gets along very well with the Syrian leader, who has done a good job pulling Syria together. But Ahmed al-Shara, also known as Jelani, has already said clearly more than once he has no interest in fighting in Lebanon and only wants economic and diplomatic.
Now, he met with President Trump last week as well. He was here and they had talks, and Trump was trying to convince him to go in and do this with Hezbollah. And 2 days later, what? He pops up with this truck that he so-called seized that had weapons in it on its way. Okay, they say he's playing both sides, but let's go.
Ties, not military ones, which leaves people asking what would make Trump think Syria can handle Hezbollah when Israel, the most heavily armed country in the world after the U.S., has not been able to stop them. And at the exact same time in South Lebanon, the Lebanese army moved into the village and nearby pilot zones after Israeli forces withdrew, marking the first real test of the U.S. brokered plan for phased Israeli pullouts, where the Lebanese army takes full security control, clears any remaining non-state weapons, and stops Hezbollah from operating there again. Videos show Lebanese army vehicles and soldiers with the national flag now patrolling the streets. And local residents said they have been waiting since morning for the Army's engineering teams to finish clearing explosive devices so people could finally return home.
All right, guys. Hold on.
We're told that he's going to present a plan to disarm Hezbollah. Is the Lebanese army capable of doing that?
No, they're not. And I just told you guys, they won't be able to. They won't.
As I said, the Lebanese army is, a very outdated force with no air power.
Yeah, they barely have an army, but let's go.
And this is by design. The United States has not allowed the Lebanese military to acquire any powerful weapons that could defend themselves from Israel. Israel is, by design, intended to be the dominant power in this region. So, many Lebanese are saying this is a kind of a surrender deal. Hezbollah has been the only part of Lebanon that has been able to resist Israeli forces from entering further into the country. And so many Lebanese feel that, the president is giving up Lebanon's most powerful.
Listen, I told you guys, he doesn't like the fact he believes that Iran is using them as a bargaining chip. He said that they can handle their own affairs without Iran interfering. However, again, that deal that they put in place is not a good deal. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Tool here in order to kind of surrender to the Americans. But of course, it's being framed differently. There's a lot of Lebanese who believe that America wants to help Lebanon, that America is a force of freedom. It is a kind of a delusional thinking for many others who see that they have been behind the destruction of over 60 Lebanese villages, completely wiped off the map.
Breaking news. The Islamic Republic's Revolutionary Guard just escalated hard in Wave 24 of Operation Nasser 2, announcing...
Now, guys, this is about them bombing the Amazon data warehouse again. They also tried to say that the U.S. used old intelligence when they bombed the all-girls school. Saudia's vessels was turned away at the Straits by guess who? The Houthis. But let's go.
That cruise missiles completely wiped out Amazon's central data hub in Bahrain as direct payback for the U.S. strike on Darkhoven, then openly warned that 18 American tech companies, including Microsoft, Google, Tesla, NVIDIA, and Starlink, are now fair game because they power U.S. military operations, while the same forces and the Iranian army hit.
Again, they also said that Trump's properties, anything over there in the Middle East, is fair game. Okay, so now they are targeting U.S. businesses over there.
U.S. bases in Jordan and Kuwait taking out missile radars, an F-15 in its hangar, MQ-9 drones, Patriot batteries, SATCOM sites, and troop housing with claims of Americans dead, all while forensic probe confirmed U.S. Tomahawk smashed a school in Manab using decade-old intelligence that still showed kids in the playground, and a DIA whistleblower admitted the targeting database had not been updated in years.
And remember, guys, we went over this, I want to say last week, and he was asked about the school, and I showed you guys a clip. Will the truth ever come out about the all-girls school? But they claim, allegedly, it's from old intelligence.
Pentagon is quietly sitting on critically low stocks of Patriots and Tomahawks after burning through over 1,000 since February. Houthi forces in the axis of resistance have forced at least...
But we knew the Tomahawk missiles were low prior to the ceasefire even being put in place. Okay, right before the ceasefire was put in place, I did a full breakdown, okay, of what we had and what was used.
8 oil tankers, including Chinese vessels loaded with Saudi crude, to abort the Bab al-Mandab, and now Trump has just announced the U.S. will hit the Pickaxe Mountain nuclear facility pretty soon very heavily, with nuclear Earth-penetrating bunker busters, claiming there's nothing they can do about it. And this is exactly what happens when America keeps bleeding its arsenal.
And the reason why they are going to hit that mountain is because, again, they believe that Iran is moving nuclear centrifuges, okay?
And its sons for a foreign project that has nothing to do with defending this country. They're draining munitions and credibility so some other regime, Israel I'm speaking of, can keep its wars going, while the same voices that scream for more escalation never send their own kids and then act surprised when the other side starts hitting the tech and logistics that make the whole machine run.
The U.S. close to an all-out war with Iran again. The U.S. has now been bombing Iran for 10
And this is just a quick roundup, guys, because in a minute we're going to get into Pete Hegseth in front of Congress.
consecutive days, with Iran retaliating against U.S. bases across the Middle East. Both sides are targeting civilian infrastructure that millions of people rely on. Bridges, electrical facilities, a railway station, a desalination plant, and even a city believed to host Iran's underground missile bases have been targeted by the U.S. Iran retaliated with attacks on Bahrain and Kuwait, home of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, and struck a power and water desalination plant in Kuwait too. The U.S. is trying to force Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, that tiny but important waterway in the Persian Gulf, which about 20% of the world's oil once flowed through. But it doesn't seem to be working. Iran attacked another tanker in the strait this week, and commercial shipping is still stalled. That means higher gas prices back home. U.S. gas prices jumped to $4 a gallon again on Monday, whereas a year ago, the average national price was $3.14 a gallon.
To see prices reaching over $5, close to $6 is rough.
Listen, now that part of the Red Sea, just don't be surprised. I told you guys weeks ago, this will be our new norm. It will fluctuate. Sometimes getting as high as $10 a gallon. Seriously.
No one technically owns the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran claimed sovereignty over it after it was attacked by Israel and the U.S. in February, using its proximity as negotiating leverage with the U.S. At least 50 people were killed and hundreds injured in Iran in this latest round of U.S. bombing. 3 U.S. service members were killed over the weekend, 2 of them U.S. Army soldiers at a base in Jordan. This marks the first time U.S. troops are killed from direct Iranian fire, bringing the total death toll to 17.
And now it's actually 18, okay? They have announced Angel Rampersad. They announced her today.
Hey, this is breaking news. American forces just wrapped up a round of strikes on Iran. This now marks the 11th consecutive night of kinetic strikes carried out by the U.S. Follow for the latest breaking news updates on Iran.
We know that it was yet another night.
So 11. So tonight, if so, that'll make it 12 rounds. It's like, what is the end game?
Night of escalation, yet another night of exchange of fire between Iran and the United States, as we had it from the Revolutionary Guard saying that they have carried out retaliatory strikes. But speaking of the attacks on the country, we know that in the city of Tabriz, in northwestern parts of Iran, which is far from the southern coast, we've got explosions reported. Local authorities are saying that.
And actually, guys, before we get into Pete Hegseth, we will be talking about President Trump approving this deal that will allow Saudi Arabia a nuclear program.
A military site was targeted, but in addition to that, we've got other provinces, some of them for the very first time, that we've got the strikes and airstrikes taking place. The public mood, we know that it is highlighted by a sort of public anger pertaining to this continued airstrikes targeting not just the military sites, but we know that civilians are also being impacted. Casualties are reported in that regard, similar to previous 2 other wars, and also we know that in that regard, there is this economic pressure, economic impact as a result of this situation, as the country stands before a dilemma of whether it's going to be a continuation of attacks for not necessarily a known period of time, or at the end of the day, there will be a diplomatic solution to result in long-lasting peace.
Now, this is what I want to know. How does Israel feel about President Trump allowing Saudi Arabia to have a nuclear program? This is just so ironic that we are fighting Iran about this.
Trump has done maybe his most insane move yet, as he has approved a nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia that will allow the kingdom to enrich its own uranium for civilian reactors, for power use. But how do we know they're going to just use it for that? I mean, this is crazy. It also allows them to operate without the gold standard of international oversight. It's a 30-year deal, and they
Yeah, I forgot to tell you guys that a 30-year deal with Saudi Arabia.
expect to announce it formally today. Now, this is insane because we are fighting a war with Iran to stop them from having nuclear weapons. But we're going to give Saudi Arabia access to nuclear technology, allow them to develop it, which could potentially be used for weapons down the road. A country that was involved in 9/11, the worst attack on American soil in history. We're going.
Diamond Gang, Replay Gang, please, if you replay this live, I need you guys to comment to let me know, how do you guys feel about this? I'm not okay with this at all. Ugh.
To allow them to have this technology? Are you kidding me?
But I can guarantee you it will be about him making money somehow, some way off of this.
The people that came to our country with a death squad and murdered a journalist that was a citizen of this country? Are you fucking kidding me?
I did not know he was going to say that. Sorry, guys.
This deal even includes limits on what inspections can be carried out with Saudi Arabia's new nuclear program. This deal will be sent to Congress for approval and will also need the approval of the International Atomic Energy Agency. A 2/3 majority is needed in both the House and Senate to block this deal to make it veto-proof.
Listen, guys, lately the Republicans have been flipping. We will have to see how this play out. We'll see. It's just kind of iffy, you know. You just never know. You just never know.
Against a Trump veto. Do you think Saudi Arabia should have access to nuclear technology and be developing their own uranium and nuclear technology? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
President Trump has reported.
Okay, I'm going to say I don't think they should. Again, we will have to see. It's kind of, you know, even though some of them would love to go against a lot of things, they still stand 10 toes down and firm on their decisions. The ones that are speaking up and speaking out, the reason why is because they're not running for re-election. So we'll see what happens.
Reportedly approved a deal that would allow the Saudis to build a uranium enrichment facility, something that they have been wanting to do for decades. According to multiple reports this morning, the agreement is expected to last 30.
I'm sorry. Hi, David. You said for the Trump family. Saudi is paying Trump big money. I think so too. I think so too. David, I really do. Thank you for stopping through. You said this does not resolve the Strait of Hormuz and the fact. I wish I would have seen your comments. I'm sorry. Wow, you had some good comments. Thank you, David. Okay, let's go.
Years and is worth billions of dollars, money that could go to American companies. According to the Wall Street Journal, which first reported this deal, American companies would provide nuclear technology and then play a central role.
Okay, Sash, you said the same thing. Somebody is getting paid for this. I believe so too. Yeah, I do.
Building Saudi Arabia's nuclear infrastructure. Now, Saudi Arabia is a U.S. ally. It has long wanted to develop its own nuclear program in order to build up its electric grid. And according to reports, Trump officials believe that this new deal is a way for the U.S. to prevent Riyadh from misusing the enriched uranium for military purposes. President Trump has faced scrutiny for his family's business ties with the Saudis for years. In April, the House Judiciary Committee started investigating Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner's.
Diamond Gang, listen, I don't think this is going to go well. I just don't.
Company, which has received billions of dollars in foreign investments from Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia. Of course, this is all playing out as the United States is waging war against Iran to stop that country from building up its own nuclear program. The U.S. continued its strikes on Iran for the 11th straight night last night. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told lawmakers yesterday that the war has cost U.S. taxpayers nearly $40 billion so far, and he asked for $67 billion more.
That 67, again, is just for the, hold on, let me make sure. I don't want to state the wrong Yeah, it's just for the this war. Again, they're asking for 88 billion, but again, 21 billion is going to other things.
Now, this agreement with Saudi Arabia isn't formal yet. Congress would need to review it, and the deal could face strong opposition from some lawmakers who worry about boosting nuclear capabilities anywhere in the Middle East.
The American death toll in the U.S.-Iran war is rising. The Pentagon this morning released the name and image of a female sergeant, describing her as presumed dead after a recent Iranian attack on U.S. facility in Jordan. 2 other soldiers were also killed in that attack, so 3 in Jordan, and then another American soldier was killed in Iraq while attempting to disarm an explosive device. So 4 American service members killed in recent days. And this war just seems to be escalating. There were...
Listen, guys, from my understanding, they were upset, and I was not able to grab that piece, but they said that they were on their way to basically, the bodies were coming in. And they said that President Trump spoke for those soldiers. So that they're getting upset big time. Now, I did hear him say basically that that they were, he praised them, but then he turned around and he said, they were fighting so Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. That's all I heard him say. Now, if there were other comments, I didn't hear them.
New Iranian attacks this morning, more attacks on Jordan, according to officials there. And the Pentagon said that it carried out strikes against Iran for the 11th straight night, this time targeting a hangar and a drone storage facility. And President Trump says that this war could escalate even further, with him now saying that he is openly considering attacking a nuclear site in Iran, described.
But I will say this, guys, he got so upset right before I came on that he is threatening to hit infrastructure. Yeah, he threatened to hit infrastructure today.
As Pickaxe Mountain.
We'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon, and there's not a thing they can do about it.
And Iran has said that any attack on so-called sensitive locations in Iran would be considered a major escalation. Diplomacy is not over. International mediators from Pakistan and...
Let me stop it right there. David said this war was an American war of choice, and people unalive in war on both sides. Oh yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, David. I've always said that since day one. But again, I tell everyone you're entitled to your opinion. All opinions will be respected. This is a safe space for anyone, to come in, say how they feel. I'm okay with that, even if it's opposing to what I feel. Okay. Again, you may change my outlook on things. I may change yours. But yeah, I agree. And there are still some that support the war and believe that we're in it for the right reasons. All right, let's go.
Jordan are trying to rein in the violence and get the ceasefire talks moving again. But so far, they are facing.
But I'm going to say this. What is the end game? Because he could bomb them forever. They will always be able to cause havoc in the straits. That's all they need is a couple of drones. And again, since 2012, there have been 30 incidents with the Iranians actually shooting at ships. So this is something that will always be a problem. All right, let's go.
An uphill battle.
Now, this is the threat. Okay, this is the threat, guys. From this point forward, anytime the Islamic Republic of Iran shoots at a ship in the Straits of Hormuz, whether it be by missile rocket, drone, or any other device or weapon, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant, including those located to or in the capital city of Tehran. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. So there you have it. I wasn't sure if I was able to that I captured this or not. Listen, guys, when I get these videos together, it's a lot. I am literally taking anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minute clips, making it a 60-minute video where I have to resize everything. If there's background music, I have to remove it. So it takes hours sometimes for me to make these while I'm making other content. So sometimes, right when I know it's the cutoff time before I'm able to upload it and use it, I will hurry up and grab what I can grab. So I was not sure that I had this, and I'm happy that I grabbed it. So there's the threat right there, guys. All right, let's go.
All I'm going to say is we love you, we love your child, and that's what they are to them. They're their children. There's no...
And I grabbed, this has to be the comment that everyone got so mad about. So let me take it back, and we're going to listen to it without talking. Hold on just a little bit. I always take it back too far. All right, let's see. Okay, just a little too far. Hold on, guys. Let's hear what he... Uh-oh, did I do it too far? Let's go back a little more. Sorry, guys. All right, let's run it through. But let's hear what he had to say.
In Iran, described as Pickaxe Mountain.
We'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon, and there's not a thing they can do about it.
And Iran has said that any attack on so-called sensitive locations in Iran would be considered a major escalation. Diplomacy is not over. International mediators from Pakistan and Jordan are trying to rein in the...
Thank you, David, so much. I appreciate you saying that. Sometimes I get super frustrated because I run late. Yesterday, I really wanted to go live bad, like literally so bad. But because putting this together and then, uploading it could take anywhere from 45 minutes. It just depends on what time of the day it is. If everyone's on the internet, it'll take 60 minutes. So thank you.
Violence and get the ceasefire talks moving again. But so far, they are facing an uphill battle.
Okay, so there's the threat. And right before, I think...
All I'm going to say is we love you, we love your child, and that's what they are to them. They're their children. There's no games, no nothing. That's their child. And all you can do is throw out your heart. Thanks. It's over. Some of you are going with us to honor our heroes, and they are indeed great heroes, actually. They said, and all of them said very strongly, we cannot let Iran have a nuclear.
It's that right there. He said, come on. The other day, he didn't frame it that way, guys. He said, they fought so Iran could not have a nuclear weapon. Now he's saying that they said it. This is what everybody was upset about. Woo, I thought quick and fast to get these clips. That's what it was. He said it. Come on, Trump. You can't say stuff like that. Let me take it. Let's listen. Oh, man. This is why everybody's mad. All right, let's see. Let's hear what he got to say.
With us to honor our heroes, and they are indeed great heroes, actually. They said, and all of them said very strongly, we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. They won't have a nuclear weapon. So we're going to honor them. And one of the hardest things to do, for me, it's one of the hardest things to do as a president, but has to be done.
As we go to honor these soldiers, do you have an update on the investigation as to how they were killed in Jordan?
No, they're doing that. That'll be released.
There was a report
you know what?
It was Iran targeting barracks
Well, they're going to pay a big price. They're being decimated.
Is that report inaccurate, sir? Families.
Listen, I told y'all why they hit Jordan. They hit Jordan because it was the easiest target ever. No air defense, no military, and they knew that that's where our military would be. Okay? Man. Right? You said maybe Trump should put Barron on a U.S. base in Kuwait. That's why they hit Jordan, but we'll see what happened. And I think it was because of the air defense, but we'll see what the reports say.
When Americans are wrongly against this war, how do you ask them? Well, Americans aren't against the war. A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That just came out loud and clear in a poll.
He said this. You said we are not as informed, but for your detail, thank you, Sass. He said that the Americans are not against the war, it's against the high gas prices. I think it's both. Okay? But there are polls strictly about this war, and they don't approve. Okay? They don't approve. And I'm going to get the numbers.
Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Do you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? You think it's good? Go ahead. All I'm going to say is we love you. We love your child, and that's what they are to them. They're their children. There's no games, no nothing. That's their child. And all you can do is throw out your heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, most recent polling numbers, 2026, 59% says the U.S. decision to use military force in Iran was wrong. 61% disapprove of President Trump's handling of the conflict. 56%, hold on. Okay, so in March 2026, it was 56% oppose or strongly oppose U.S. military action in Iran. That's the most recent polling that I have. It don't say anything about gas prices, but yeah, over 50% is against it. But let's go.
Another day at the Capitol. Pete Hegseth.
All right, guys. This is our last piece, and I believe it will be about 15 minutes. Again, Pete Hegseth went in front of Congress to ask for billions to help with this war. We are running out of money. We are running out of munitions. Let's go. Let's see how he did. Let's get it. And you guys know how I do it. I will get it from beginning to the end. This was even before he went in front, but let's go.
Testifies at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time for a Senate committee as he asks for tens of billions of dollars for the war in Iran. It's going to be a tough sell, not just for Democrats. The Pentagon has been, to put it charitably, a little less than transparent about how things are going at the Pentagon. There hasn't been a press briefing about the war by Pete Hegseth since early May. It's more than 2 months. Public support for the war is in the toilet. There are still casualties. There are still dollars being burnt by the billions on munitions, on expenses, on strikes. And this ask comes as Pete Hegseth's been accused by Congress, by both parties, of not keeping them informed about the war. Tough sell. It happens in the building I'm walking into, the Senate office building.
I want you guys to let me know, how do you think he did? And you know, I got some of the most heated exchanges. So let's get into it.
At 2:30 Eastern Time. Some of the Democrats on the panel worth watching: John Ossoff, Georgia, in a re-election cycle, taking on a prominent position in his party. Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who has been among the most strident critics of Hegseth. I'm watching for Chris Coons of Delaware. And on the Republican side, John Kennedy of Louisiana, who's taken a harder line against some Trump appointees sometime. And Susan Collins, obviously in the middle of a heated Senate race, perhaps the battleground Senate race of all the Senate races. She questions too. Absent from this hearing, Mitch McConnell is on the panel. And this was to be a big platform for Lindsey Graham before he passed away. All this happens at 2:30 here at
And I think that will affect the Republican Party. I do. Those two not being there.
the U.S. Senate. Welcome to Capitol Hill. It's going to be a day.
Pete Hegseth just got interrupted multiple times while testifying in front of the Senate. The
Yes, the protesters were there. Oh, my goodness. Let's take a look.
protesters saying, stop bombing children in Iran and Gaza. Take a look.
Budget request, 1.5 trillion.
Mr. Secretary, please suspend until order is restored in the hearing room. We will begin the timing clock since you've been interrupted twice.
That was great. And other protesters stood up and said they want healthcare, not warfare. This is the kind of good trouble that people should be getting into. People like Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and the rest of the losers around them, they shouldn't have a moment of peace with everything they've done to this country and countries around the world.
Secretary Jacob from TMZ, one question, and that is it.
He walks right past them.
How are you going to end this war?
Secretary, what's your message to the 18 dead military families?
Are Iran's capabilities too sophisticated to protect U.S. forces?
The supplemental funding request is not a substitute.
This is the protester again, guys.
90 million people. Your hands are bloody. Of 17 Americans and 4,000.
The witness will suspend until order is restored in the committee room. I know that individuals feel very passionately, but we must have order in the hearing room so that we can proceed. We're now going to move forward with our hearing. And Secretary Hegseth, please proceed.
Thank you. The supplemental funding request is not a substitute for the president's full $1.5 trillion base budget request. $1.5 trillion.
You see that? 1.5 trillion. So this is a fraction, okay, what they're asking for. So let's take a look. Oh.
Palestine, this is illegal.
Mr. Secretary, please suspend until order is restored in the hearing room. We will begin the timing clock since you've been interrupted twice.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
1.5 trillion is what the president seeks and what we need to defend the country. The members of this committee understand better than most that long-term strategic dominance cannot be funded through one-off supplementals.
Veterans call for ending this war right now.
We will have order in the hearing room.
So again, 1.5 trillion they were asking for. Remember, guys?
Mr. Secretary, please proceed.
Collectively, the budget proposals submitted under President Trump follow a simple logic.
I would ask that the Capitol.
Did you guys hear what she said? She said something about her insulin. So she's talking about her, medical, and that's, we are suffering big time.
Police, whose professionalism I admire, and remove those who are seeking to disrupt the hearing. Please proceed.
You know how many Americans are not even covered right now?
Know what that means? That means 1.5 trillion, given the world that we live in and the disaster of what the Biden administration budgets gave us.
Once again, they keep going back, and Biden is gone. Obama is gone. Blaming Biden.
Not funding this department at 1.5 trillion, I believe, is the greatest threat that our nation faces. Either we invest in our warriors at this moment of step change on the.
It's just crazy because, listen, you went around Congress, okay? Called it an operation, a skirmish, okay? Did not label it a war. Did not go to Congress to get permission. But now you're asking Congress for billions.
Battlefield and growing threats, or this is all just talk.
You estimated at one point that the cost of the war in Iran was $29 billion, but then added a caveat that there was a replacement of munitions, for example. Do you have a new estimate about what the war has cost us so far in this, the fifth month of the
Listen, guys, and I told y'all earlier in this live, he testified.
first year of this war in Iran?
Senator, the estimate we have as of today is $37.5 billion.
And is the current activity, which we
Now, remember the last time they were in front of Congress, they couldn't even give them the true rounded off amount. It was so much that we found out after the fact. But let's go.
We've been told about the exchange of fire back and forth in Iran, an indication that that number is going to go up in the months ahead.
Some of that number captures additional O&M, mill pay, and other that would be anticipated through the fiscal year. So some of that anticipates what costs would be going out in the future as well.
So the new number you've given me is what?
$37.5 billion.
And that represents the cost of the war through what period of time?
Through now for certain aspects of it, but also mill pay, O&M, other anticipated costs through September 30th, Senator.
On day 14 of this conflict, Mr. Secretary, day 14, nearly 5 months ago.
Yeah, he definitely had Pete Hegseth sweating, okay? I love him.
You stated that Iran's military, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. That was on day 14 of the war. Was that an accurate statement?
They didn't have a Navy any longer. It was completely sunk. Their missiles were buried underneath a lot of their underground facilities, and their defense industrial base has been almost completely destroyed. So as far as it...
Almost completely destroyed. That is not what we've been hearing.
A military assessment of Iran's capabilities. It didn't mean by any stretch of the imagination absolute zero, but their capabilities
Mr. Secretary,
at the lowest level
you stated that on day 14 of this conflict, in the second week of the conflict, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Was that an accurate statement? Yes or no?
Iran's ability to challenge the United States of America at the level at which we're capable of.
That's not what I asked you, Mr. Secretary. You said on day 14, Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Yes or no? Was that an accurate statement?
What the American military has
Will you answer
done to
the question?
the Iranian military is a historic military
Will you
defeat,
answer the
and
question
they're ineffective
under oath?
in that context.
You see it. You guys see it right there. And again, how did we get here? Woo. It all started when Obama tore the initial agreement up. That was the start.
You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are on that front line, not the men and women who hold up their honor with distinction. But if there's a lack of a winning strategy, they're in harm's way. Their leaders have failed them. And that's what's happening. We have political leadership. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do
That part right there, you're asking for billions, and you do not have an exit plan. They don't have an exit.
But they need to have leadership. When will you show
Of course
leadership?
we have leadership.
When will you show
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually.
Here's the deal. They give up the money, and then what? And then what? We have no exit strategy. We have not even completed not a single goal, or we've completed nothing, and we've managed to add on to our objectives. Not one military objective has been accomplished.
Fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful. So I put this on you, Senator.
Secretary Hegseth, you have trillions, you have over $1 trillion. You're asking for $1.5 trillion.
Again, they went all the way around Congress, named this war something minor, said it would be a 4 to 6 week excursion, and then turned around and put that ceasefire in place as means to even go around Congress even more. All right, let's go.
It's not a question of money. It's a question of leadership and understanding what it takes to actually win.
Political cowardice of Democrats who won't fund the troops.
The next step would be
all they had to do was go to them in the beginning, had a mapped out thorough plan, but they knew because of this whole reason why intelligence didn't tell them anything as far as a nuclear weapon and Iran being close. Again, because he tore up that initial deal without putting anything in place, leaving Iran to do whatever they wanted to do, allowing Benjamin Netanyahu to feed him what he's been trying to feed past administrations, has got us in this problem, in this situation. There's no other way around it. But let's go. Top U.S. general is asked if they're weighing boots on the ground. Let's take a look what he has to say.
escalation by ground combat. Do you anticipate that escalation?
Sir, I think it'd be unhelpful for me to opine on hypotheticals. What I can tell you is we always develop an unbelievable amount of options and the associated risks. And then my main job is to always ensure that leaders understand those options and the risks.
Now, if you employ ground troops to seize objectives, which I would assume would be the first stage, are you prepared for an extended guerrilla war, which would likely happen in that area?
Sir, with all due respect, I think it'd be unhelpful for me to opine on hypothetical situations, on whatever decisions the president may or may not take.
Now, if you employ ground troops to seize objectives, which I would assume would be the first stage, are you prepared for an extended guerrilla war, which would likely happen in that area?
Sir, with all due respect, I think it'd be unhelpful for me to opine on hypothetical situations, on whatever decisions the president may or may not take in the future.
Have you advised the president that a ground combat would be very expensive in the lives of our soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and also could probably lead to an extended unconventional war in that area? I don't see the Iranians sort of throwing their hands up saying, welcome to Iran.
To be honest with you, and I showed you guys this yesterday, they said that they prefer a ground war. That's what they said. They prefer a ground operation, and they are waiting and ready. Okay? Let's go.
Senator, I always advise the president on a range of military options and all of the risks that are contained within that, but I have to keep my military advice to the president private, sir.
They put tolls on the strait.
I don't know, sir. That's a decision that's a hypothetical and will depend on what happens
It's not
in the future.
hypothetical.
We've got a blockade to stop them.
We do, sir. That's putting
I want you
economic
to look me in
pressure
the
on
eye.
Iran.
I'm not asking you for, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I know your advice to the president is private, but this is serious as 4 heart attacks and a stroke. Now, what happens if we come home and end the blockade to the world?
Sir, Iran has the potential to continue to be a threat, and we will need to prepare military
Will they
options to
toll
do
the
that.
strait?
Sir, that's a hypothetical question, and I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, it's not hypothetical. We come home. It's not going to be hypothetical. You know that, General, and I do too. And I appreciate your.
Hold on, let me stop it. Robin said no exit strategy in sight, and then Robin says this reminds me of another war on terror. Now, guys, remember I'm on Rumble streaming to both platforms. I'm gonna pin Robin's comment in the chat. So I'm going back and forth from Rumble to YouTube's chat. What I'm going to try to do the next live stream is drop the phone lines. So, but I want to know if people, I'm going to try it before I go off, just to see if you can hit the phone. Will it show on YouTube's side? We'll see.
Discretion, but we're down to it. We need some hard answers and some straight talk. What will happen, Pete?
Senator, I would agree with the chairman, but the likely outcome is they would try to impose their will on the waterways in ways that the world would not like. Call it a toll, call it a fee, call it an exchange, call it control. They would do something that they would try to hold it at issue. Yes, sir.
Would they try to commence development again of a nuclear warhead?
Part of the reason President Trump had to have the courage to do what he did after Midnight Hammer is that they didn't give up their ambitions, even though their nuclear sites had been obliterated. So this is a regime hell-bent on nuclear ambitions, and
Guys,
President Trump's been willing to go
answers.
after them.
Right.
We need straight answers. Do we have the ability to destroy whatever is underneath Pickaxe Mountain?
Senator, a lot of our capabilities
Listen, remember, Trump said he will be hitting that soon. I think they're going to try it. Maybe they're going to try it so that they can present to Congress that it has been. Who knows? But remember, I just showed you guys President Trump saying that they're going to hit that soon. It could be tonight. But let's go.
classified, but if anybody in the world can reach anything on God's green earth, it's the United States military, the most powerful military in the world. It's all about options and trade-offs.
All right.
Congresswoman, what did you make of Hegseth calling Democrats cowards in that fiery exchange at the end of the hearing when he was pressed on what the exact plan is for the Iran war?
Jake, once again today, we saw in such crystal clear terms why Pete Hegseth has absolutely no business serving as Secretary of Defense. He lacks the judgment, he lacks the experience, and he clearly lacks the temper.
Listen, that's a lot of them in this administration. Witkoff, Kushner, they don't have the experience at all. I feel like real estate moguls have no business negotiating.
To be holding one of the most important positions of public trust in the world. Today's hearing was another really disheartening and disturbing performance by Pete Hegseth, and proves the point that he has no business serving in that job.
Hegseth repeatedly said that the money that they're requesting, this $87 billion, is about cleaning up the Biden administration's mess and equipping U.S. troops with the best possible technologies. You know a little bit about the Biden administration. What's your response?
My response is this. Look, the president made a choice on February 28th to launch a war in Iran. He did this just a matter of hours after coming here to the United States Congress and delivering the longest State of the Union in American history, where he did not make the case for war in Iran to the American people, and he did not make the case for war in Iran to the Congress. We are living with the consequences of this war of choice every day. And what we heard again today from the Secretary of Defense was a shifting set of objectives and rationales without any clear strategy moving forward. It's just plainly unacceptable. And they've come to ask for the biggest defense budget in American history, but cannot explain how this money is going to be put to use for the American people at a moment when we are facing a profound affordability crisis and hardworking Americans are feeling the pain as a direct result of this war at the gas pump, at the pharmacy, at the grocery store. This is not what anyone signed up for.
Awaiting a major meltdown from Trump today as he just got the worst approval rating.
Oh, yes. Sorry, guys. This is it. His approval rating, and then that'll be the end of the live. Listen, that was a rough one. It was very rough. Again, they don't have any true figures. They can't break anything down. They don't have an exit. This is not looking good.
Ratings of any president in the 21st century at this point in their second term, and it's largely driven by independents souring on Trump.
These are horrible numbers, Johnny B.
So put it in historical perspective.
Yeah, just how horrible are these numbers? I mean, it's the worst this century for a president at this point in his second term.
Midterms is going to be rough for the Republican Party.
When you look at an average of the CNBC and Washington Post polls, I mean, we're talking about right here, the average of CNBC and Washington Post, minus 22 points. Barack Obama was underwater, but not anywhere near this level. He was at -8. And George W. Bush, in the middle of the Iraq War, when that was going south, he was at minus 20 points. So at this point, Donald John Trump is, in fact, holding the record for the lowest net
-22, gang.
Approval rating for a president in a second term at this point in the second term of any president in the 21st century.
And if you think that's bad,
and if you think this is bad, what is driving this number? It's independence, baby. It's independence. Look,
I love that guy. I watch the ratings here and there, and he cracks me up every time.
all-time worst at this point in a second term net approval rating among independents, Donald John Trump.
This is horrific news for Trump and the Republicans, not the numbers they wanted to see, not improving whatsoever. And it's because he hasn't done anything to improve them. It's been broken promises, no release of the Epstein files, corruption through the wazoo, and we are seeing prices continue to rise on virtually everything. Corporate bankruptcies at a high point in 16 years. Guys, things are not looking good. This Iran war continues to rage on. We were heading towards peace, and he took the off-ramp back to war. People are not.
I think he took the off-ramp back to war because he was feeling pressure. Again, he wants this. He wanted this war over. And I think because he got so much backlash from the MOU, he felt like he had to take this gamble, and he's not winning. This gamble, I said it could either go one or two ways, and it's not going his way.
Happy ICE immigration enforcement tactics leading to more deaths. People have had enough. Let me know if you have too. Comment, like, share. Spread the word, vote blue in the midterms, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
So a new poll shows that the war in Iran is the least popular conflict among Americans since polling began.
Here we go with this poll right here as proof. Now, President Trump just said the poll was because of high gas prices. It had nothing to do with him being the president. This is the last clip, I promise y'all.
Which is pretty significant. Now, this is a new Economist YouGov poll that I'll have up on the screen here, and you can look into more research if you want. It's conducted July 10th through July 13th. In the Economist write-up here, they said net approval for Mr. Trump's decision to attack Iran now stands at -30 among Americans. The war in Vietnam took 6 years to become as reviled as the Iran war has become in 6 months.
Wow.
Now, a couple keynotes when looking at
6 years and 6 months is a big difference.
this data set here. First off, the overall number is 57% of Americans view that going to war with Iran is the wrong decision, compared to 27% view it as the right decision. That, as expected, is pretty split out along partisan lines. 89% of Democrats say it was the wrong move, but 65% of independents, 65 to 13, also say it was the wrong move. That tends to be pretty significant. in elections. For Republicans, they had that broken down between MAGA and non-MAGA Republicans. And even there is a substantial divide. So non-MAGA Republicans say that it was the wrong decision, 51% to 31%. But when you get into MAGA Republicans, 5% say it was the wrong.
And I believe that he still has the ones that do support him. They are diehard, like, yeah, you can't change their minds. So I believe that as far as the MAGA base.
Decision compared with 77% that say the war in Iran was the right move.
I was on a plane that was hijacked in 1985.
This is the listen, guys. Can you guys remember? This was a couple live streams ago that I brought a clip, and it was talking about Americans that has, went to court and sued Iran, and they weren't getting their money. Remember, they were upset because they were getting sanctions lifted. They were getting all these perks. And they said, well, what about us? They forgot about us. And I felt like while they, they were willing and dealing, that somehow, some way, they should have included those that did not get their money in these lawsuits. But let's take a listen.
And was taken hostage on that aircraft.
There are thousands of Americans who have been directly harmed, affected by acts of terrorism that were sponsored, orchestrated, or financed by Iran. And about 100 of those victims and their families, they're here in Washington, D.C., and they are urging President Trump, do not negotiate with Iran unless the Islamic Republic actually pays restitution as part of any negotiated settlement.
And right now is their time to fight, because when they put that deal together and that deal came out, and a lot of them were like, wow, he just forgot about us. I think they can get their money, and I think he needs to include them. But let's go.
There's a fund that was developed by Congress in 2015, and that fund has not operated in the manner in which it should.
We're here to ask that both Congress and the administration help us pursue justice against Iran and other state sponsors of terror who have funded and caused an immense amount for me personally, but also for 20,000 others.
Over the next 2 days, they have more than 80 meetings scheduled.
You remember, Robin? Okay, that's it. Sorry, guys. Here, let me take this down. Yeah, remember, Robin? I was like, oh my goodness, they should be able to get their money. So I'm going to follow that story. I'm going to definitely follow that story and see what happens. Please, guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching from Rumble, hit that follow button. Listen, my following on Rumble, it's coming along pretty well. So I appreciate it. Replay gang, make sure you hit that like. Oh, let me drop the phone. Let me see if it works. Let me see how it looks, guys. It says start taking calls. Let me copy the link. Let's see if I could put it in the chat. I just want to see what it looks like. Because how could you hit the link like that? Let's see what it looks like. Hey. Oh, yeah, Rumble Studios. You see it, guys? There's a link. Oh, let me see if it... Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay, guess what, guys? My next live stream, but you'll have to click that link where it says Studio Rumble, but it'll come through, I think, through like a phone. It's the phone. It's not the link to talk. So, I mean, not the link to come up, in the studio with me. This is the call feature. Let me click it and see where it leads me to. Hold on. Real quick, guys. I'm going to test this out. Oh, you got to have Rumble Studio. I may have to just drop the link. Let me see what the link looks like if I wanted to invite you up. Let me copy it and see if it'll show. But I think you have to be on Rumble. Yeah, you definitely have to be on Rumble. You have to download the app for phone calls. Dang. Let's see the studio link. Yeah, you probably would have to have Rumble. Well, I'm still going to drop the link and see if someone from Rumble wants to come up. I'm going to try to figure out a way to do this through YouTube and Rumble, because I'm on Rumble streaming onto YouTube. To be honest, I don't want to pay for StreamYard. It's $45. I have more features in Rumble Studio. It's basically the same, but it's free with more features. We don't have a call-in feature with StreamYard at all. So, but I may have to break down and get StreamYard because I've been promising a vertical live stream. So in order to be able to share my screen and do a lot of things, I'm going to have to break down and pay for it. So, plus, I really do want to do a vertical because there's a lot of people that was coming to my live streams while I was vertical and they were returning. So I want them to know that I'm back. But that is something that I will not consistently do because I believe that is what got my channel snatched. Me doing those duplicate live streams. It had duplicate titles, hashtags, and all of that was duplicate. So it made it look like I was spamming. And they snatched my channel for that. So, they snatched my monetization first to punish me, and then they snatched my channel. Remember, guys, I kept saying I got this feeling my channel's going to go. So if you're not following me, get the Rumble. I knew it was going to happen because I kept going vertical and horizontal. So, and they now have AI moderation. So the AI does not know how to detect any of that. So, I'm going to do it, but I can't do it like I was doing it all the time. So I don't want them to think that I'm doing this to increase my views. But the vertical world is different. These are people that are persistently scrolling until they catch something, till something catches their eyes. And then they may stay there. Sometimes they don't. It's a whole different world versus just the regular horizontal YouTube world. The horizontal YouTube world is just like a video. So I'll see, but it's like I don't want to even pay $45 to get StreamYard to do it. StreamYard is expensive. I remember StreamYard used to be $25. It is now $45. So, hey, I get that fan funding. I ain't got a choice. So make sure, please, to support the channel, you can via Cash App, Super Chat, Super Sticker, and on Rumble, you can send, in Rumble, it's a rant. It's called a rant. It's just like a Super Chat, Super Sticker. Or you can send to my Cash App, and I even have a wallet where they can send me tips in crypto. So, however you want to do it, guys, I get that fan funding, then I'll pay for StreamYard that way. So, but I have to do a vertical live soon. But I want to thank everybody that participated in this live stream. David, thank you. Thank you. Sass, thank you. Papaya, thank you. She's been coming back. I've been seeing her a lot. Who else? Okay. And of course, Cameron. Cameron, he was new. I want to say thank you to Cameron. He may be a sub, but this is the first time I've ever seen him in a live stream. But of course, I want to shout out my moderators that always show up and show out for your girl. Marie, EJ, Mitch, he's not here, but he usually come. My girl Robin. Thank you. Meek, she comes through when she feel like it. But you know what? That's my bestie. She could do what she want. So please keep your notifications on, guys. if I don't go live again today, of course you'll see me tomorrow. Okay. I want to cover the brothers. What's their names? Oh goodness. I can't even think of their names. The brothers that was just arrested. Robin, put their last name in here. Listen, guys, my mind, I speak so quickly, and my mind is quicker than my mouth. So a lot of times I speed through because I feel like I'm going to forget to tell you guys something. So, yeah, sometimes I get caught up on words, and yeah. And I still get nervous too when I come on. So, the Tate brothers. I want to cover the Tate brothers badly, but I'm so nervous because of YouTube and the advertisements and the advertisers. They consider that type of content not advertisement friendly. So if I cover the Tate brothers, what I'll do is I'll cut off the advertisement. I just thought about it. Yep, Tate, yep. I want to cover them. I think I'm going to turn off my advertisement. That way they won't run ads and they won't get me. YouTube is getting hella strict right now. And I lost my channel and my monetization for over a month. And I work hard, y'all. Look at my content. That is what a short can take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to make, let alone an upload, let alone my videos for my live streams. So it is every piece of time that I get. And I wish that I could sit at home and be a content creator. I'm not making the money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like every chance I get to create, I create. So it's like that's the fear of them being able to snatch my channel whenever they feel like it. I don't like that. I don't. So I'm just trying to be careful. And then I found out they're taking all my money. I made close to $400 before my channel was terminated. They're not giving it to me. And I don't even want to go into it, but it's just they said if my channel that they said that they basically refunded the advertisers and whoever paid, like, gave me super chat, super stickers, which I received a different answer saying if my channel was reinstated and monetization, in less than 50 days, then it would be reversed. So I got two different sides telling me. So it's just a lot. On Rumble, it's more laid back. It's more relaxed. It's more human contact. I don't have to worry about AI moderation, snatching it because they can't tell if it's my voice or not because I'm a faceless channel. It hurts me, so. But, it is what it is. I'll figure out those kinks later. Thanks for listening to my rant. I'm just trying to explain to you guys how certain things work and the reason why, I'm doing certain things certain ways, But guess what? It's my anniversary. It's been 1 year, guys. 1 year. So I have close to 4,200 subs, over 2.5 million views. It's only up from here. Okay. So you said what, Cameron? Oh yeah, they are. Yup, they did me dirty, Cam. They did me dirty. So I'm just trying to be careful. I want my channel to be around. Let me get one payment out of them, and then I don't care what they do, snatch it. No. But I will never put my eggs in one basket ever again in my life. So now I'm not only just on YouTube, I'm on Rumble, I'm on X, and I also have Locals, which is attached to my Rumble account, which is subscriber base. It's $5 a month. So I'm putting in work everywhere. The blueprint will be everywhere. I will never put my eggs in one basket again. I was devastated. But I will say, because Rumble, they don't require as much as YouTube, I was able to be monetized quickly. On Rumble, you're monetized. You're paid for advertisement as soon as you upload. It may be pennies, but those cents turn into dollars eventually, the more views you get. Then once you reach a certain milestone, you have to have at least combined 100 followers, and a couple other things. You have to go live for a certain amount of time, but it's a lot less than YouTube. Then you can enter their creators program where you're paid for watch hours and they give you other avenues. Like right now, I can pick where they have different advertisement. If I read it off during my live stream, I'm paid maybe, let's say 7 cents per 10 views, or they just give you different avenues. There's so many avenues on Rumble. So you figure I get paid for them to run ads. I also accept tips in crypto. I'm starting a creator program where I will be paid for watch hours. You can send rants, which are the same equivalent as super chat, super stickers. So, you know what I mean? It's just so many different avenues. So, but I just want to thank everybody. So thank you for your support. I appreciate every subscriber. I do. So keep your notifications on. Meek, you hear still? You hear me say my bestie could do whatever she want. So please keep your notifications on. If I don't go, I go live now. I used to go every day, but now that I'm back on YouTube, I got to be careful. I do not want them to think that I'm trying to do anything. Yeah, so I got to be careful. So I go at least every other day. Sometimes I'll go, consecutively in a row, but just keep your notifications on. And anybody to replay this live stream, hit the damn like. Hit that like. But yeah, I think my next live stream, I will just turn the advertisements off and I'm going to cover the Tate Brothers for sure. See, on Rumble, I could get away with that. Not on YouTube. It's not advertisement friendly. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.
It's Yolanda degrees. Sip on me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda degree, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape.